The transfer portal class is pretty much done. Did Auburn do enough to be competitive in year one under Alex Golish?
This is the Weekend Tailgate. Brought to you by Golden Cast Iron. C-Dub. Iannone. Be Will. By G. You are now listening to
Weekend Tailgate brought to you by our friends at Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights and code TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamado grills. Spring will be upon us soon. You want to be outside by a Golden's Cast Iron grill or just keeping warm around a fire pit. It's been cold out here in these streets. If you live in the Atlanta area, my heart goes out to you. It's cold, but you maybe heat up your life with one of these nice fire pits from Golden's Cast Iron. Again, code TWR to get $65 off. Workout, grill out, chill out with Golden's Cast Iron. We appreciate them being our title sponsor for today's segment. You can sign up as a patron and get locked in with one of the best Auburn communities out there. $5.99 a month will get you there. We appreciate your support. Your financial support helps keep us going through the off season. So we need you guys to sign up here. It's rough February through July, but we stay viable much by the grace of our listeners who sign up. See if we can get 40 signups on today's show. We appreciate you guys for supporting us there. You can also help somebody else get on board by hitting that gifted membership button right there in your face. If you interact with our channel at a high level, but you haven't made the decision to become a patron yet, check your email. You could be on the receiving end of one of these gifted memberships. YouTube selects these at random. We have no control over it, but we appreciate everyone who gives a membership every single live stream. Last but certainly not least, want to thank our friends at the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phenix City, Alabama. Get fresh for the weekend with the Vibe Vault, not just barbers, lifestyle consultants. Check us out at thewarreport.com where you can find our merch store and all our written work. Doing lots of great stuff over there. So make sure we get a hit per day from you guys over on the website. We appreciate you guys for giving us support over there. Also support us on podcasts. Every single podcast network, we are there bringing you lots of great audio-only content. So if you missed the show here and you're on your way to work tomorrow, you want to listen in. These live shows can be kind of long. We break them up into segments and we put them out on audio for you guys, so it's a little easier to digest on the run. Support us on podcasts. Sign up. Turn on automatic downloads. And make sure you drop us a 5-star review if you get a chance. We want to hear from you.
Well, let's get in here and have the conversation, gentlemen. Transfer portal class. Auburn put their graphic out, which means that they are mostly done. Alex Golish has a press conference set up to talk about all of the new signees between the freshman class and the transfer portal class. I think that's coming up Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. What are we expecting to hear from Alex Golish in terms of the haul that they've brought in between freshman and transfer portal classes? And how are you guys feeling about where Auburn is from a talent standpoint?
I think that we're expecting to hear kind of a state of the program, right? Like retention is what was kind of thrown in our face here. We got a roster that everybody wants to coach. A lot of that roster decided they were going to go play elsewhere. So there's been a pivot. There's been a pivot for Auburn football, and I expect to hear from Alex Golish what that pivot is going to look like this spring headed into fall camp. They wanted Deuce to stay. He's gone. I think that there are going to be a lot of questions about quarterback behind Byron Brown. It's just, there's some things. Well, the wide receiver room looks different, but there are some incumbents there that we want to know, hey, man, are these guys going to be buried on the depth chart, or do they have a plan to put Bryce Kane on the field? We know he's extremely talented. Just felt like he was buried behind a lot of guys who were just a little bit ahead of where he was in terms of being play ready in their freshman year. Look, Auburn, I think, is going to be okay. And what I expect to hear from Alex Golish is that Auburn's going to be okay. We're going to win football games. We have a superior system. We know how to squeeze the most out of the talent that we have. So we're going to get the guys that we need, the best of what's available right now, and we're going to go win football games with them in the fall. That's what I would want to hear. That's what I expect to hear on Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, Alex Golders has been nothing but confident in his approach, in his process, in what he intends to do from his first press conference on. And so I just want to see more of that confidence displayed when he meets with media in a few days, Ike. I think that he's done well in terms of addressing needs. You're not going to get everyone that you target in the portal. There's a lot of competition for a lot of these guys, but I actually think this coaching staff did a really good job of addressing needs. I would like to hear him talk and speak specifically about the trenches, offensive line and defensive line, and what he expects from a competition standpoint going into spring. You got a lot of new faces on the offensive line. How does he feel? I mean, obviously, he's going to talk about Cole Best being one of the guys to really anchor that offensive line, what he expects from him moving forward. Dallas Walker, getting him back, like how does he feel about him, and does that increase his confidence with the defensive line going forward? So the trenches, I think I've heard a statement from him before he got to Auburn, maybe when he got to Auburn, talked about how important the trenches are in order to be able to play competitive football. So how does he feel about those position groups going into spring? So those are things that I want to hear. I think there's going to be a lot of questions about the running back room. It's a stacked running back room. And so I'm excited to see what his plan is for those guys and who he expects to really contribute out of that room. So that's it. I mean, obviously people are going to ask about Byron Brown. That's going to be the more popular question because he is the face of this class without question. So obviously he's going to talk about him. So yeah, I think to Mike's point, I expect to hear confidence. I expect to see more of him and his plan, his vision for Auburn in 2026, along with how he feels about the kids that are in that room.
Yeah, what is the plan, Caesar? Like, I want to hear more about the plan. I want to hear more about this process-driven program he said he's bringing to the Plains. How is the process going? How are kids adapting right now? How have the messages been received? When Freeze first got hired, he talked about kids ended up on lists that end up on his desk. Right? How is the team doing there?
I want to hear about no more lists.
Yeah, right.
Not those types of lists.
Right. You remember when Harsin got hired, I remember hearing both on the rumor side and from people directly in the know that they felt like Auburn had a little bit of a drug problem. Now, drug problem being subjective, right? If we're talking about marijuana, I mean, rules are rules, but you understand what I'm saying there. And they wanted to clean that up. How are guys doing sticking to the rules laid forth, by this coaching staff? When we interviewed a lot of the former players, they would talk about Yachts time a lot. To me and I did like a ton of like former player interviews where they're like, if you're not 10 minutes early, you're late. Are guys showing up to meetings early? Are they showing up to workouts early? Are you still trying to fix culture issues, or has the message been received so you can move on to coaching football? I want to know. I'm wondering how long this press conference is going to be. I hope we get a little bit more than about 25 to 28 minutes is usually where they fall. Alex Golders can be a little long-winded in his answers. But I hope we get a solid 45 minutes here, to just ask him multiple questions and really dig in and get his take on where he feels like his program is at, where his locker room is at, and who his leaders are going to be.
I think that's going to be interesting to see. I mean, they're really only started workouts yet so far. So I know Hugh Freeze was big on letting the players decide who the captains were going to be. Is it going to be that same sort of thing? We've gotten some information about what the spring schedule is going to be. So we know the date for A-Day and all those sorts of things. Saw it asked in the comment section. The press conference is Wednesday at 2:30. It's technically the National Signing Day press conference. Do you guys, I mean, listen, y'all know I am not the guy to ask about recruiting. Do we expect them to add any additional players on National Signing Day? Or early signing day has kind of taken a lot of the luster away from National Signing Day. We expect them to get some more guys in this class in National Signing Day?
I think that the deadline for enrolling in classes is passed. I could be wrong.
But
Yeah,
still, I
but,
mean, if
but,
you
but the late signing period is usually a summer enrollee at this point.
Right.
Like if you're signing then, you're definitely not trying to enroll.
you're
in
right,
the
you're not
spring.
going to be
Correct.
here in spring, right? So,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
still, are they going to add any more
I don't
26
look,
guys?
the only news I've been hearing has been Junior Day, so that like, they're already working on 2027.
Yeah.
I haven't heard any names pop up for 2026. That's outstanding. I think this staff has addressed a lot of those needs through the portal. I think they're looking ahead to 27.
Yeah,
I
believe,
mean, I haven't
believe
looked
so
at the
too.
numbers of where they are in the roster. I'm sure they have some room to add some more people, but and maybe they'll try to get some late transfers in that'll come in during the summer. But I haven't heard anything. Again, y'all know I don't follow recruiting because it feels like a different game out there trying to figure out what these young men are doing, and it's changed even more recently with all this stuff happening. So I let the professionals handle that, and I just stick to commentating on what they talk about. A couple of things that you guys mentioned about what you expect to hear and questions that need to be answered. One of the things you said, Caesar, I think that there's going to be questions about the quarterback pecking order, right? You know who your guy is, but how are you handling the guy that is going to be backing up the guy? And what is that going to look like? I think that that's something that everybody wants to know. And then one of the things that you talked about, Mike, is how much evaluation were you able to do with the guys who stuck around, and what are those competitions going to look like, particularly for places like, I would say more so on the offense, right? Like offensive line. How many of those guys that stayed do you feel like are going to really be able to step in and compete? Wide receiver, there weren't a lot of them that stayed, but there are a few guys that are in that room that came back. You know, are those guys going to have an opportunity to step in and compete? I think that's something that's going to evolve as spring continues, but I do believe that that's something that people are going to want to hear about. And then last but not least, the running back room, right? You've got 3 young men that are still in that running back room that were in the running back room last year, and Jeremiah Cobb, Alvin Henderson, and Omar Mapson. But you went out and you got quite a few other guys that have starting experience in collegiate football. You know, what is that competition going to look like in those 3 rooms? Because that's really going to be now tight end. You only had one guy that returned in that room that feels wide open, and you got 800 new guys in the room that you're gonna. I want to know why'd you get so many tight ends, brother? What is going on with the tight end position? Like, are these gonna be special team? What is going on with the tight end? Why so many of them? I want to know what's up with that for sure. But there are definitely going to be some intriguing things going into the spring as far as position group battles. And then I guess the only other thing that I would have curiosity about is, I know we're not going to hear from DJ Durkin, but like philosophically, how different is it going to be this year with so many different position group guys coming in and adding their flavor into what DJ Durkin does? Are we going to see more of the same philosophically? Is it DJ Durkin's thing and everybody toes the line, or is there going to be a collaborative process to figure out kind of how they want to strategically utilize players that they've brought in or retained in those groups? So I think I'm interested to hear that. Again, I know that Golish isn't a defensive guy, but I do kind of want to know what his thought process is around the defensive philosophy now that he's had more of an opportunity to see what's going on in the landscape of the guys that they've brought in. So definitely looking forward to hearing him talk about this transfer portal class that he's brought in with all this new talent here.
That's the thing, though, right? Is the transfer portal class, the offensive line. You made reference to it earlier, but he seems, and Caesar said it too, he seems highly aware. Like, if I don't get my offensive line fixed, Byron Brown's going to need to be Superman. And I'm sure he can be. But I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if y'all saw the last Superman movie they just put out, but he needed a ton of help. You know? I mean, Super Friends or whatever the league was helping him there. I mean, he had the dude with the spears. Like, he needed help, man. He won't go back through that movie without help. Byron Brown needs help. Start on offensive line. Start with pass protection. If you can pass protect for him, all that amazing physical ability he can use at a much more effective level rather than just trying to make the play work. I can go 3 steps beyond if you're going to protect me. I do believe Byron Brown has the ability to be able to be one of the best QBs in the SEC. Caesar and I did a segment where we talked about the top QBs in the SEC and which one of those guys we felt like Byron Brown is potentially better than.
There's a lot of people in the media who already has him there as a top 5 QB in the SEC. Like that was pretty surprising to me to see some of the.
Oh, was that really?
Yeah, there's some people who are big on Byron Brown this upcoming season. So that was interesting.
Yeah, oh man, I want to. I have so much that I want to hear because there was a, I mean there. It's a pivot. It's been a little bit of a pivot, and I mean, do you guys have a favorite right now for QB2? Is it Tristan to you?
Yeah, I think it's gonna have to be
I think it's gonna be Tia.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say Tia. Even though I think Hewlett is a pretty intriguing since he's been in the system, and I know this coaching staff is big towards people who are already familiarized with their system. But I like Tia.
I get to your own.
Yeah, I think Tia probably has the inside track, but I do think, man. We've said this a billion times. I don't feel that way about QB1 in this instance because, again, I think it's got to be Byron Brown, or otherwise it didn't make a lot of sense for him to come over to Auburn. But I do want to have a very healthy QB2 competition this spring. Now, they've announced dates and all of that sort of thing, but I do want to know about format for A-Day, right? Like, are we going to get an actual game? Like, I didn't follow South Florida's spring game and whether or not they were but playing an actual game or what, but like, are we gonna get the what was the goofy thing that Harsin was doing where it's like points for, like, I forgot what it was he did for A-Day, but it felt crazy. And then you had Hugh Freeze where it was like situational practice. Essentially, it wasn't really a game. It was more like scrimmage periods. And I was just like, this is a waste of time. Are they going to give us a game this year? Right.
Yeah, I think it was like you started off like one team already had 32 points or something like that. And then you had to kind of work your way up to
zero.
Passing it.
Yeah. It was stupid. I hated it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm hoping that gets addressed so that people can build some anticipation towards what that's going to look like. But yeah, I think that those are going to be the big things that I'm looking to hear from him in terms of that. The last thing, that I want to talk about in terms of this press conference moving forward is, did they do enough? Did he do enough to have people feel like it's too early to have expectations, right? So let me choose my words carefully. Let me define my words carefully when I ask this question, because I've already made it clear what I think the standard for Auburn football should be, right? Did Alex Golesh do enough to meet what I feel like the standard should be? Forget what everybody else feels. I'm going to ask you a question about my own standard that I have, which is 8 wins for Auburn football. Did they do enough to achieve that level? I know it's really early, right? But this is a too early expectation based on what we know today. Do we feel like they did enough to get them to a competitive 8-win team in 2026?
Before I answer that question, I always ask myself, did he do everything that he could have done, right? Did they miss anywhere? Was there a prospect that should have been in the bag that they didn't get? Right? So, man, I'm going to get killed for this, but the more time passes, the more I feel like Cam Coleman deciding to go to Texas wasn't really a miss. I don't think they ever really had a chance to get him to stay. So there was no chance he was going to stay. It's not a miss. They had to find that out.
Right.
But I don't think Auburn was ever really truly in the running to retain Cam Coleman with this coach. So, so once I move past that, now I look at the guys that they brought in. Keyshawn Singleton is an acceptable replacement at QB1. At wide receiver 1. He is. You got Bryce Kane to return. You brought in some other guys. So if I'm looking at the wide receiver room, I do think, yes, they did everything that they could have done that was actually achievable. Now, you move on to offensive line. What did they do there? Jury's out. I'm looking at running back. Feels like they did. I mean, you brought in Bryson Washington. You brought in the Kai Davenport. You retained Jeremiah Cobb. I like it. And that wasn't all. So I like it. On the defensive side, I've said this over and over again. Auburn's best retention job may not even be a player. It might be DJ Durkin. So let's start there. You returned him. Xavier Atkins will be a top 5 defensive player of college football next year. You got him back. We'll see at DB. At linebacker, I think they're solid. Elijah Melendez didn't go nowhere. He's good. DeMarcus Riddick returns. Xavier returns. They should be solid.
Yeah, you only brought in one portal linebacker, so that tells you how this staff felt about
Yeah,
that.
Man. There was another kid that they brought in as a freshman in recruiting that we talked about having, maybe having a chance. His name is escaping me right now, but Elijah Melendez type impact. I'm pretty close to. I do think that. I think they did enough to win 8 games. From a roster composition standpoint, now just go coach them up.
So I'm having a shift in my thought process from this coaching staff to the last coaching staff to this coaching staff. It was about players, right? We got to have elite level players on our roster, and I think you should have that regardless of coaching staff. I want to be clear on that. Nothing wrong with that, but I do think that this coaching staff here has a system that can get the most out of the talent in the room, regardless of who's in the room. Mm-hmm. And I think when you have an upgraded system, Ike, you can stomach a Cam Coleman leaving when you still have capable wide receivers in that room, right? Top to bottom. Like when you have quality guys in that room, you can stomach a loss. Still sucks to see Cam Coleman leave and go elsewhere in the SEC, but you can stomach it if you have a system that can still get the most out of receivers regardless who's there. And to me, I think that was what was missing from Auburn, which is why you had a lot of talent, but we would find ourselves towards the end of the game and Auburn just couldn't get over the hump. They just couldn't get it done. They just couldn't close the deal. Now that you have a coach and a coaching staff that wants to focus on winning those moments and also having a system that puts your guys in a position to actually win, I think an upgrading system versus addressing needs, to me, I think puts you in the driver's seat to be able to compete. My thing is being competitive is you're in the playoff conversation. So you're right around that 8-9 win mark at minimum to where you may not make the playoffs, but they're still talking about you come November. You're still in the discussion come November. And I think that if what we've seen Alex Golesh do, granted, it's only a small sample size. South Florida hadn't won many games before he showed up over the past few years. He took them bowling year one, right? So we've seen what he did at Tennessee. Tennessee was looking a lot like how Auburn was looking. When he was an assistant, they improve immediately. Everywhere he's gone, he's improved. My thing is if you have addressed your needs and got bodies in each room that you feel comfortable with, the way they evaluate talent, they're not really as focused on stars as was what they see in terms of measurables and what they like on film. If they have their guys and they know they have their system, they have the off-field, on-field staff to coach these guys up, I think that they feel as though they're in the driver's seat to compete. And that's what Auburn fans want to see.
Let me ask you guys this question. All right. This is off the cuff. We hadn't prepped this. This is just me thinking, listening to what you guys talked about. Thinking about last year's offense, right? And we saw the drastic difference between when the play calling and the play caller changed, right? What percentage of the ineptitude that you saw on offense do you assign to the play caller, and what percentage do you assign to the players?
Oh, 90% on the play call.
90% on play calling. Caesar, where you at with it?
I'm gonna go about 80-20.
80-20.
Yeah.
All right. So here is the bigger question I want to get to. Mike, of the 10% that you're giving to the players, Caesar, of the 20% you're giving to the players, where do you feel like Auburn needed the biggest upgrade in the percentage that is on players? Because play calling, we got a totally different play caller in here, so that's going to be addressed in a very real way. There's different players, but like, what positions of need do you feel like had to get improved in order for the playing portion of that to improve the way that it needs to? I know system is going to improve, but what I'm talking about, just the stuff that's on the field. Where do you feel like they had to get better in order for Auburn to get better?
Yeah, we're going to sound like a broken record, but I'm telling you, it's offensive line.
I'm gonna go in a different direction. Tight end.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment as well.
Okay, so how well do you feel like, or let's just say, all right, let's take that 10% pie, Mike, and you say offensive line was the biggest need. What percentage of that are you giving to offensive line and saying, man, like 56, like what percentage of that 10% is offensive line to you?
Half.
I think tight end's a big one as well. So
yeah, man. They had opportunities to win games. You know, and that's ultimately what I'm looking at, right? They had opportunities to win games.
Where I'm getting at with this is how well did they address those needs, right? So if the offensive line was 50% of the play problems, did they go and address that well enough?
Yeah.
If tight end was
TVD
50% of the issue, they got 800 new tight ends in here. Did they do enough in that room to improve the play? What percentage of it? How much better did Auburn get at quarterback? Did we get improvements in wide receiver?
You improved at quarterback.
Yeah.
I think you improved at quarterback. I think you improved at tight end. Actually, I'm willing to go out on a limb and say TBD on O-line.
Yeah. I'm TBD on O-line.
I'm TBD on O-line. But you've improved at, because again, we complain about tight end all year long. All year long, we complained about tight end. It got to a point where we were like, why are we lining up with tight ends? Why aren't we going just four wide receivers? Right?
Was there anywhere to go but up? That tight end.
I think you were about as close to rock bottom in the tight end.
It's an obvious one for me.
No, all disrespect intended, because my boy was not.
They gone now.
Playing ball, man.
He gone. He gone.
He almost switched to sport. You about to say he was hooping?
Come on, man. Like, I just don't know that you could have played worse in the tight end room than last season. So you had to get better there. And I'll rock with you on this. See, I think if you had better tight end play for the vast majority of that season, you probably do improve your offense significantly. You because of
beat Vandy if you had better tight end play,
blocking assignments and catching a couple of passes on some critical downs. Like, yeah, man, you probably get yourself in a much better position if you have better tight end play, man. Like, and that is with the offensive line being what it was. I just think there's too many critical blocks that happen from the tight end, right? Like, that's your guy that's chipping on the edge. That's your guy that when you're trying to throw that little wide receiver screen, that's going to be responsible for making sure that DB doesn't get there. That's your guy that's doing your crack block across when you're trying to get the seam on a QB dive or, running back counter play. That's your guy that's supposed to be your reliable third and short. He's just going to line up and go turn around at 4 yards and you throw him the football and he's going to catch it in traffic. Like, you didn't have any of that consistently last year from the tight end room. And I think Alex Golish's system similarly will require a tight end that can do all of those things. You don't have to be all world, Brock Bowers, but my God, can you make a critical block on third and short so that we can secure the edge and the running back can, bounce outside for an additional 4 or 5 yards?
Like, there's a lot of things that he relies on the tight end is telling the offense whether or not the defense is in zone or man, because he's going to line up in the backfield and he's going to be running out lining up as a receiver once the ball is snapped. Like, he's asking the tight end to do a lot that the tight end wasn't being asked of before. You're going to have to address that. And I think that's why you saw 20 tight ends get signed, it seems, during the portal window. And so he's looking for guys who can do a lot of the things that he's asking that perhaps wasn't being asked of the tight end position before. We just want basic level. We need you to block when asked. When the ball is thrown your way, here's a novel concept. Catch it.
All right.
Catch
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Tight
crazy
end.
thought. Blocking. Who'd have thought blocking was important to football?
This is wild. It's a wild card. They literally went out and got a guy who played quarterback to come in and play tight end. And I think part of the reason that they did that was, honestly, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that they need someone more cerebral at that position. Quarterbacks think, right? They're amongst your smartest players on the team. And, I think that they went out and just got some guys that they felt like, hey, these guys will go out and do what we need them to do, right? Exactly how we need them to do it. You may not, you don't always need superheroes at every position, fellas.
No,
right? Like sometimes you just need guys who can go out and execute and, do what's being asked and nothing more. You can be supremely talented and you can really mess things up just doing too much. An example of this, I was watching this highlight the other day. Do you guys remember that USC game? I think it was versus Texas. I think it was the national championship versus Texas. Reggie Bush, really long time ago. And he was gone, running down the field for like a 50-yard game. But Reggie decided that wasn't good enough. And he decided to pitch the ball back.
Oh yeah.
And, it was essentially a lost fumble. And they lost the game at the last minute. He literally threw the game away. Reggie Bush is a great player. Why did he do that? You're doing too much, bro. Get tackled and go down. You're doing way too much. Sometimes you just need guys who will go out there and just do what's asked.
Again, you're it's the backyard ball is great when it works, but man, when it don't.
Oh man, in that moment, I was just like, why did he do that?
Yeah.
I don't get why he did that. You were coasting. And you decided to do that there? Come on, man. Possibly lost them the game. So I'm looking for just basic execution here in year one. Can they just go out and execute simple concepts? And bring this thing home, man. That's it. That's all you need if you're Auburn.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think Byron Brown fits the mold of a Superman type of quarterback that's going to go out there and do some amazing things and make some highlight plays and potentially be in a Heisman conversation. However, I don't even think you need that in order for Auburn to get to 8 wins, right? Like if Auburn does get to 8 or 9 wins, he's going to automatically be in the conversation because he is the quarterback that's leading them there, unless they're winning despite him. I just don't see that happening.
Right.
But yeah, you just need guys that are going to be where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there. Because a lot of what's going to be happening with this is going to be about timing, and it's going to be about making sure that, again, critical blocks are happening when they're supposed to. If you're supposed to be, if it's a cut block on this thing and they're throwing a slant and you miss that and it turns into a tip pass, then it makes the quarterback look worse than it was, right? So there's just a lot of things that have to tie together in order for Auburn to get there. But we've looked at that schedule multiple times, man. 8 wins. I don't listen. If you are screaming at your computer screen, TV screen right now, how dare you guys put 8-win expectation on this team? They haven't even made a bowl game. I'm telling you, I don't care. Right now, I flat out do not care.
Standard is still the standard. Yeah, the standard.
The expectation is not going to change based upon what happened last. This is a completely different team, a completely different staff. If this had been Hugh Freeze year 4, then maybe you have this compounding. Okay, well, maybe if they can just even though I still think Hugh Freeze year 4, you got to say, listen, man, you drastically underachieved these last 2 years. You better be at a place where we're talking about getting into a playoff this year, because you should have been at 8 last year. You should have been at 7 in year 1. So I don't want to come in here talking about this. Well, we'll make a bowl game this. No. We're done with that conversation.
The discussion will start for a lot of fans and end at quarterback. Do you have your guy, right? And we talked about what that room looks like now. I mean, I've got a visual here. Is this it? Is this the quarterback room that's going to take you there? These 4 dudes, right? Byron Brown doesn't have a history of injuries. Like, he's got one injury back in 2024 where he was out for a few games at the end of the season. But like, for a dude who's played as much football as he has, I would say getting through your entire college career to this point with only one injury with a setback of a few games is not bad. So hopefully he stays healthy the entire season. If he does not, are these 3 dudes behind him the guys to take you there? Can the standard that Ike is talking about, can you maintain that standard with them other 3 dudes? How far is the drop off from QB1 to QB2? Because it felt like going into the season that there might have been a massive drop off from Jackson Arnold to, our guy Ashton Daniels. Turns out that it was a reverse drop off, right? They reversed the drop off.
Yeah, I still struggle with why it took so long to make that switch at quarterback. I still struggle with that understanding. Like, what were we doing? What were we doing at quarterback last year? I don't know, man. Like, if I were a quarterback in that room and Hugh Freeze was coming back, I'd have bolted, bro. I'd have been like, you don't know what to do with this position, dog. Like,
well, they did. Like, that happened after year 1, like year 2, year 1 and 2. Like, you saw us have to replace rooms, the QB room, like more than once. Like, so yeah, I think it was crystal clear for a lot of those kids that, like, hey, he doesn't have a plan for me. The kid at Baylor right now was basically saying that much. Is that, hey, man, I'm glad that there's a plan for me. Like, I know what the plan is for me. And I hope that these kids here can say
whatever that plan is. It wasn't him starting though, because they still went and got another quarterback and recruited over him. So whatever. But okay, so like I said, I ask all these questions to ask this, right? We feel like the guy calling the plays, improvement there. Haven't seen him call a single play at Auburn, but feel like there's an improvement there, right? We feel like the guy he's calling plays for at quarterback likely going to show an improvement. We feel like the tight end room got better. We feel like the running back room overall got better. We feel like the wide receiver room, if nothing else, is equally as good and can be as productive. The only question mark that's out there is offensive line. This is why I ask, why is it so crazy to think 8 wins is achievable? If all of those things are true, you have better play calling, you have better running back room overall, you have a better tight end room overall, you have a better quarterback, even kill with the wide receivers. If you're exactly where you were, unless you went drastically the other direction in offensive line, why is an 8-win season so crazy to expect? I don't think that's crazy.
Again, it's a reputation, right? Right? It's like you haven't played well over the years, so why would you expect to make this leap and make this jump? Like that, right. I think that's a lot of people's argument against that is because Auburn hasn't been good for a while. So why would you expect in year 1 for you to just make that leap automatically?
Because of all the stuff I just said, plus the culture is supposed to be better.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
If you got a better locker room, better talent all across the board, and better coaching, that's not going to equal more wins? In what universe is that? Not that math worked wrong.
I agree. But again, it's one of those things that a lot of people, it's one of those reasons why people kept just automatically putting Alabama as number 1 and finishing number 1 in the SEC every year. Because again, it's what you've seen out of them when Nick Saban was head coach, right? It's what you see from the Georgias that Kirby Smart's head coach. if Auburn has been struggling to even make a bowl for the past few seasons, Ike, expecting them to be an 8-win team and right outside the conversation of the college football playoff, that may seem laughable to a lot of people. Again, us being closer to this program and understanding why things went the way that they've gone over the past few seasons, and really feeling as though you've addressed some of those problems that have prevented Auburn from taking that next step. No, it's not ridiculous for us to think that Auburn can't win 8 games, because again, we saw the lapses in coaching, the fact that there wasn't a plan. From the day this coach got on campus, he's been talking about plan and process. All of the things that we felt like Auburn lacked last year and the years prior, it seems as though Auburn has. And you didn't have a tremendous drop-off in talent overall, so there's no reason to think that Auburn can't continue to finish the job this year and actually finish some of those games where they were close in on.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know why it's such a laughable expectation. I understand having a healthy amount of, I don't know, like you're in your mind, you're like, I don't know, I'm not ready to commit to that. But I don't know why people are like, that's crazy. I can't get to the crazy, because again, math is math. And if all of that stuff is true, someone's gonna have to show to me where it's not true. Right. Like,
I will say this, Ike. I will say this. I do need Auburn's offense to resemble what we've seen in South Florida and Tennessee. Like, that was my issue with Hugh Freeze. I'm like, where is Hugh Freeze's offense? I'm still looking for it, even after he's long gone. Like, we thought we were getting what it's like what I ordered versus what I got. You know what I mean? You see those memes. It's like I need to see, because we say that we've addressed that part from a coaching standpoint. I do need to see that in spring. I need to see okay, this does look like what we've seen at USF. Like, we need to see that some things have really changed with a new head coach.
Well, we will see. Well, again, we got a long time between now and then, but we definitely will see what's going to happen. I need to get out of here, but Caesar and Mike are going to continue the conversation and going to get to you guys' comments here. Make sure before we get to this break, or while we're on this break, you guys do the necessary. That's liking the video, sharing the content with somebody out there. If you're not subscribed, make sure you do that. Come on over to the YouTube channel and make sure that you guys get in on that. They're going to talk a little bit more football, maybe in a little basketball tonight. This evening, but I'm gonna get out of here. You guys are watching the Weekend Tailgate. We'll be back with more after a quick word from our sponsors.
This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. Golden's Cast Iron. Whether you work out, grill out, or chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at goldenscastiron.com.
The Rage Room. The Rage Room is a place where anger and stress find their ultimate release. Set up a session today at one of the 2 great locations in Opelika or Birmingham by visiting opelikaRageRoom.com or BirminghamRageRoom.com.
Sign up as a patron. $5.99 a month will get you there. We appreciate you guys for helping keep us financially viable in the offseason of football. Again, just hit that join button if you haven't made the decision to become a member already. Your financial support helps keep the work that we're doing here going. I want to thank our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORTER to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop potentially has something that has you covered. Again, code REPORT so that you know that the War Report sent you. I want to thank our friends at Abel's, Iannone, Moore, and Associates. Guys, you don't need a big balance to get big advice at Abel's, Iannone, Moore, and Associates. They've got a great fiduciary advisors that can help you out on every level. A lot of people I talk to worry about their finances, not just the markets, but real life questions. Am I saving enough? Can I retire comfortably? How do I even get started? That's why I like the team at Abel's, Iannone, Moore & Associates. They're fiduciary advisors, which means they're legally required to act in your best interest, and they've been doing this for decades. They don't just focus on investment returns. They help you build a strategy and walk with you through every stage of life. If you're looking to clarify for clarity and peace of mind, they're worth a conversation. Call Abel's, Iannone, Moore & Associates at 912-777-4128 or visit AIMAINC.com. That's AIMAINC.com. The War Report has been compensated by Abel's Iannone Moore & Associates for this endorsement. AIMA is a SEC registered investment advisor. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. I want to thank our friends at the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phenix City, Alabama. Get fresh for the weekend with the Vibe Vault, not just barbers, lifestyle consultants. Check us out on podcast. We're bringing you guys lots of great audio-only content. Subscribe, drop us a review, and turn on automatic downloads. We appreciate your support there. Also, you can visit our merch store at thewarreport.com and check our written work there as well, too. Thewarreport.com, bringing you all your favorite content in written form as well. Caesar, continuing the conversation here. We've got some comments we want to get to, so we're going to get to them. Our friend Lisa Y says Golish did a press conference at the Senior Bowl and talked about their portal decisions, trenches, wide receiver room, and thoughts about the coaching and preparing the backups. He did indeed talk to the fans at the Super Bowl, at the Senior Bowl. What did you think about that? Did you think that was? Did you hear what you needed to hear from him there?
Yeah, I mean, I think we just got to see it. I mean, Mike, we just got to see. We got to see some that coming to fruition at some point in spring. Obviously, you're not going to show a whole lot, but we need to be hearing some positives coming out of spring with the portal pickups, QB position, what the trenches are looking like. We need to feel good going into summer about what that team is looking like.
The Can Lay says 80% play calling, 10% O line, and tight end, 10%. Grit.
Not mad at that.
Not mad at that at all. Well, Can't Lay gifted 5 War Report memberships. We appreciate that. Our guy Wesley Hilson says thoughts and prayers to the family of Philip Marshall. If did want to get to this, if you have not heard the news, Philip Marshall passed away. I think it was yesterday or day before.
Friday, I think.
Yeah, long time Auburn beat writer, covered the Tigers for a very, very long time. Our thoughts and prayers go out to his family and friends during this time here. Lawrence Robinson says the running back room is why I'm curious about A-Day. I think some running backs can move in the depth chart. What do you think about running back here?
I'm curious to see how this pecking order checks out, because again, there are people like Tate Meadows, there are people high on him. The Troy transfer. Obviously, you had Nakai Davenport. Obviously, you had Bryson Washington, who I was really big on in this portal class. Again, the guy can run. I mean, I was impressed with him when we played him. I'm excited about that room, Mike. And I think for a room, I really don't think that if you have a scheme that truly emphasizes running the football, I don't think you can never have too many running backs. Auburn didn't run the ball enough, and we saw a running back room get depleted towards the end of the season last year, to where you had to depend on a kid who probably should have been in his senior year of high school. He was in the game plan in the Iron Bowl, right? Like, that's how many guys who were either not 100% or no longer with the team, freak injuries, taking guys out. Like, I just think that you have an embarrassment of riches in that room, and I think that you're going to need those bodies, because this is a physical conference. This is a physical year, 9 games you're going to, and Golish wants to run the ball. So I think you need that many guys to shoulder the load.
Yeah, I do too. I do think you need that many guys. So, we'll see. We'll see. He said that he made it clear that they're going to run the football. It's one of the great proclamations of his press conference was that they were going to run the football. So, will Auburn, the cat has Auburn done enough at running back? We'll see. Let's see here. Lawrence also says getting Dallas Walker extra eligibility is a big deal too.
I agree.
And then Lawrence comes back and says if we have better tight end play, we beat Vandy and Kentucky. Kentucky hurt. Easily the worst team in the SEC.
I think if we had better play calling, you beat Kentucky.
Kentucky hurt. Kentucky really hurt.
I think if Hugh Freeze, if you had told Hugh Freeze to hit the road a week prior, I think you beat Kentucky.
Yeah, I do too. I don't think there's any way with Derek Nix calling plays that I don't think you lose to Kentucky.
Like, Ashton Daniels looked horrible in that game. He looked bad in that game.
Yeah, and then looked like the next coming of
Like he went toe to toe
Donovan
with a
McNabb, the
Heisman
next
runner up. He went toe to toe with him.
Yeah, like the next game, he definitely looked like I looked like NFL Donovan McNabb. I was like, what is going on? That's crazy. Right? You lost to Kentucky at home, and then you go on the road and he looks fantastic against Vanderbilt. Like, I just
that's when the conversation about, okay, how much of a buyout do we have to pay this guy? That's when you start hearing those questions, because it was that egregious how the offense looked so much improved from 1 week to the next. Because again, you expect more of the same, giving a staff six days to prepare without the main play caller, right? No, you look worlds better than how you've looked pretty much throughout the whole time you were here at Auburn. It was that bad, Mike.
Yeah. Yeah, this is very, very, very interesting. I can't stress to you how I wish you could have been there after the game, after the Kentucky game. I posted the video to Twitter, but thousands of people stayed to chant "Fire Hugh." I actually felt bad for Hugh Freeze in the moment. Like walking off that field to chant a "Fire Hugh" was wild, man. But you can't lose to Kentucky.
Not that Kentucky.
No, yeah,
Not
you
that
can't lose to that Kentucky. Yeah, that's crazy. All right, let's move on here. WK Sweat 71 says, "Oh no, Mr. Marshall was a great writer. I always enjoyed his talks on podcasts. I'll miss his history of Auburn and his views on today's Auburn. Yes, he had very storied Auburn career. He saw a lot of Auburn football in his time. So, I don't have any other information on his passing. So you guys will have to forgive me. I don't want to speak on it.
Just he's in his family. He and his family are in our thoughts and prayers. And just thank you, Philip, for your contribution to Auburn faithful and Auburn fans who were seeking information, and you helped to provide that for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. Greg Wheat says, if Freeze would have put his pride aside after the A&M game and let Nix run the offense, he would probably still be here. Probably. I agree. I think that's a lot of the question that most people have is what did him in? What did him in? Was it just pride that he could not let them? You hired an offensive coordinator, right? He had a whole clause about calling plays, and you just didn't let him run it. That's a tough look, Caesar. That's
personnel decisions. And it's not even just play calling; it's personnel decisions. It's who you decided to bring in a QB. It's who you decided not to bring in a QB. The following year, it's again, we were arguing, like the joke was, Auburn spent much of last year playing what looked like the third string QB.
Yeah, which is really sad. I mean, that's really sad. Yeah, the guy you picked might not have even been the second best QB on the team. So what went wrong? Did anybody in there dissent and disagree with his decision to go with Jackson?
Yeah.
Right. These are all questions that I have for Hugh. A few people have tweeted at me, what happened, with that Hugh Freeze interview. It's still happening. Trust me. We're still going to get to it. I decided to give you guys some space and some room to heal here. But because it just felt like it would have been too much. It would have overshadowed what Alex Golesh was doing to, selfishly to drop an interview during that time.
I honestly thought it was too soon for Hugh Freeze to start doing interviews. Just my personal opinion.
Yeah. It was not like, it was, I don't know. I wish if he had asked me, I would have told him, I was like, I would not do interviews yet, coach. And part of what he struggled with, Caesar, was exactly that, right? It was who to listen to, when to listen to them. I don't know, man. Just felt like he and maybe he did have people around him, but I will tell you that, you need to listen to him. Decan Lee with the $10 super chat says, I felt like anytime Hugh Freeze was frustrated or something didn't go right in the game, he looked defeated, and that transferred to the team. Alex Golish, I feel, will not have that. I feel he will this team to win. Alex Golish willing them to win potentially here. If he does, Caesar, a lot of that will have to do with the running back room. We talked about the quarterbacks and whether or not these guys are the guys to lead Auburn to victory. But my question to you here in the second half is, are these guys the guys to lead Auburn to victory? And do you think this is the order? Is it Jeremiah Cobb, Bryson Washington, Nakai Davenport, I get the last name wrong there, and Tay Meadows? Are those the guys to lead Auburn to victory potentially?
I don't know. I do want to see Cobb get his fair share of carries and Washington get his fair share of carries. But behind that, like, I think that's the reasonable lineup, right? I know Cobb is not the best at pass pro. I don't know what I don't know Bryson Washington how well he does. But again, I just think depending on what you need those running backs to do, obviously you want them to carry the rock. I think that's not a bad lineup. I just don't know how the pecking order is going to shake out, right? Does Omar Mabson take a huge step next year? Right. I know a lot of people have been, big on him, but I'm just curious to see how that lineup shake. Injuries. Who gets banged up? Who gets injured? Like I am anticipating at least one guy, one of those guys in that graphic you displayed not being 100% at some point. And what does that do to the pecking order, right? Because you can be the number 2 guy and get hampered by a hamstring, whatever the case may be, and then now you're the number 4 guy going into the season. Not because you're truly the number 4 guy. Like, how does injuries play a factor in this? Because when you talk about a position where you are getting hit early and often, even when you don't have the ball in your hands because you're in pass pro, injuries take a toll, Mike. And I'm just curious to see how it shakes out and who stays healthy.
Agreed. Look, it was they're going to need to run the ball. They're going to need to run the ball. Byron Brown is going to be a big part of that running game as well, too. So the division of reps there at running back between Byron Brown and the running backs will definitely be a storyline that we take a look at here. Now, we're going to end today's show talking a little basketball. Auburn took on Tennessee in Knoxville last night. There was snow everywhere all over the Southeast, but the game went on. Auburn eventually losing to Tennessee 77-69. They made some runs. They got within 3 a couple times, just couldn't find any scoring outside of Keyshawn Hall. Like, I mean, he came into the game averaging 20.6 points per game. He dropped 21 last night. Todd Pettiford, I believe, was the only other player in double figures scoring. It was tough. Missed free throws by Philip Jovic. It was 10 double-digit turnovers. So it was, 10 turnovers is not terrible, but this would have been a great win. Tough road win. Yeah, Tennessee is as hot as anybody in the SEC right now in basketball. Where do you see Auburn basketball after this loss last night? They only shot 38% from the field, so it was a tough shooting night.
Listen, Tennessee is a tough out, man. I know Auburn's been playing well, but it's Tennessee is a tough opponent, and they usually make it difficult for teams to score. You got to credit Keyshawn Hall for being able to score. You have to credit Keyshawn Hall for getting 21 points. But again, that's been the question about Auburn is who's going to spell him, right? You're wanting to hide Pettiford, who's just been in a major slump pretty much all season long for the most part, Mike. Like the question is, if you get to hot Pettiford going along with Keyshawn Hall, this team is going to be dangerous, Mike. And I think that's been one of the things that we've been waiting to see. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Tahad is being asked to do certain things that his skill set is different than what his skill set allows because you just don't have a true point guard on your team. I think that's one of the things that may be limiting and hurting him at this point. And the fact that you're wanting him to do other things to benefit this team. But again, I'm looking at guys like Kevin Overton. I'm looking like, Murphy in the front court. Like, he had been playing well. He struggled in the game. So I think it's easy to go to some of the usual suspects. But again, how Keyshawn Murphy, his contribution and his production has been vital to this team's success. They needed his production last night.
Yeah.
They needed him to have a strong game.
Overton going 2 for 10 was a tough look. That's 1 of 7 from 3.
Yeah.
Right. He hits 2 of those. It's a much different game. 2 more of those. It's a much different game from 3. But he had a tough shooting night. And just the night before, he drops 25. So
and the problem with this, Mike, is you're not playing a lot of guys. So the Auburn the Final 14, you can have guys in the starting lineup not play well, but you had guys coming off the bench who could spell you, right? You had enough production from the bench to where it can almost account for guys who just may have an off night who are starting. And because you don't have a lot of depth and you're not playing a lot of guys, the pressure is on those guys in a starting 5 to be on just about every night, Mike. And sometimes some of those guys just don't have it, right? And Overton, Overton can be streaky. Like, when he's on, he's on. Right? When he's on, he's definitely on. When he's off, we're starting to see he can be off. And I think that's just one of those things that happens, Mike. We see it in basketball. Some guys, in a game or two, they'll get it back. Right. And we saw that with guys last year on that team. So I think that they're in good shape. I didn't expect Auburn to make this amazing run, but I do think that getting a team like Bama at home helps you. I think getting a team like Vandy, like you're about to take a break. You got to, get some rest and be ready to come out and play Bama and play Vandy and play those teams. Like, you have an opportunity to make a strong run down the stretch. I think everything is still in front of you if you're Auburn. Obviously, you would love to have been in the driver's seat to be one of the top 4 teams to get a bye in the SEC tournament. That would have been great. But again, you still are on track to get into the tournament. You're still on track to finish strong. Just finish strong and take care of business. Stay healthy. And these guys are going to have to take care of business in Neville, Mike. Like, you can't drop a game. These games are going to be very important. They're going to have to get one of these upcoming games. Again, I'm not heartbroken. I'm actually, Mike, what I'm pleased with, and I'm not trying to sound like a moral victory here. I'm glad this team what I'm pleased to see is this team isn't getting punched in the mouth and just going away. Right. This team has fought their way back into some of these games. And to me, that says a lot about the character of this team, because earlier in conference play, they wasn't doing that, Mike. Like, they were losing, and like, again, against these teams like the Arizonas and the Michigans, and they, like, you got punched in the mouth and you pretty much stayed on the mat. So I'm pleased to see that this team has a lot of fight in them. I expect to see more of that in the weeks ahead.
Yeah, again, Keyshawn Hall is being Keyshawn Hall, but you got to have a solid secondary scorer. I do want to talk about Todd Pettiford a little bit. After the last win against Texas, Stephen Pearl said that, look, man, we got to let Todd keep shooting it, because at some point those shots are going to start to fall. And when they do, we're going to be really dangerous. What do you think has Todd Pettiford in this slump?
I don't know. Like, again, I know, again, I think he's not in a situation to where I feel as though Todd sometimes have to, when he does take shots, the offense stagnates a lot because he's the primary ball handler. And I do think that when last year coming off the bench, I think that he had an opportunity to not necessarily, like, he was within the offense, if that makes sense. The offense ran primarily through our big man last year, right? And I think this year the offense is more so running through Todd in a way. And I think Todd, in terms of trying to make the offense run, I think, and I see Riley say he's in his head, I think he's thinking a lot about not trying to really bog down the offense, right? Because when he misses shots, or when he has bad moments when they're on offense, like, it's bad, Mike.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like he's trying to force something that's not there. And I think a lot of that is him trying to find himself within this offense. Whereas last year, it was easier for him to do that, right? It was easier for him to pick his shots because he wasn't, many times he wasn't necessarily the primary ball handler, so to speak. But now he is the guy, especially since you don't have a point guard at all on this roster. You're it. So I think Hod is just trying to figure out, okay, where do I fit in and where do I find my shots where I don't disrupt the flow of the offense?
Yeah, I agree with you. 4-14 is a tough look. Caesar, he took 11 threes last night.
Wow.
11 threes. 11 threes. If you're going to shoot at the percentage that he shot, which he only hit 2 of them. He went 2 of 11 from 3. That's tough.
Yeah.
He took a third of the threes that they shot. They went 7 for 31 from 3. That's where the game was lost right there.
Yeah.
7 for 31 from 3. Yikes, man. That's tough. But again, like I said, you understand what you get with Tahad Pettiford. So I agree with Stephen Pearl. You gotta let him shoot it, man. And hopefully he gets on a good streak here pretty soon. And you start, and when he does, if Keyshawn Hall is still doing Keyshawn Hall type things, you're gonna win basketball games. Right?
Yeah.
If Auburn has a secondary scorer alongside along Keyshawn Hall, they're hard to beat. You know, I mean, and that's what happened versus Texas with Overton stepping up, but there was no Kevin Overton, last night.
You've had at least one guy step in and compliment Keyshawn Hall in those big games where you've won, right? It's either been Overton, it's either been Murphy. You've had someone to kind of compliment him. It's tough when he's the only guy out there giving you your offense production, right? And again, Pettiford has been scoring around 11. He's averaging like 14 points. But again, you expect him to take that next step this year. And I just think because he's just been out of position, he's not a true point guard, Mike. so even though he's done a good job, you have to give him kudos for being able to run the offense. But I just think the old Hod that we've been wanting to see, he's been having a difficult time finding himself.
Yeah, agreed. Look, this was a tough 6-game stretch for Auburn. They started at Caesar with 4 straight wins. So you beat South Carolina, you beat Ole Miss, you go on the road, you beat Florida. So there's a ranked win there. You beat Texas, solid win, and you lose to Tennessee. Still have a chance to go 5 for 6 on this stretch with a top 25 win versus Alabama here this Saturday. Gonna be fun to watch. The Iron Bowl of basketball coming up, guys. I'll be in the house for that one. Cannot wait. I think the Tigers win. And
I mean, they're going to be well rested, Mike. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. Does Bama have any? Are they playing? Let's look at their next. Let me look at their schedule.
Yeah, I don't want to look at anything Bama right now. Having a good Sunday. I just want to say that I think that they're going to lose.
That's fair.
How them Boo Birds are going to come down for Aiden Holloway.
Bama plays A&M on Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
So that's a quick turnaround for them. So their next game will be Saturday in Neville. So again, I like the setup for this game, Mike. I like the setup. Auburn will be well rested, ready to go. Bama will be coming off of a game with A&M. I like it.
I do too. Look, we're going to go on and get out of here, guys. We appreciate everybody for joining us on today's show. Do us a favor, share this video on social media. We appreciate you guys for helping spread the good word of the War Report at the War Report, every social media platform. Hashtag get your weight up so they know it's us. Please hit like and subscribe on the channel. Follow us on X and Instagram at the War Report, TW Report on TikTok. As always, we want to thank our title sponsor, Golden's Cast Iron, for sponsoring this segment. That's it for today, guys. We're signing off. As always, War Eagle.